Tonight on Cross Currents, Paradise of Martyrs, a chilling portrait of Islamic fundamentalism in Iran. It is 10 years since the revolution, but devotion to Islam is stronger than ever, and martyrdom remains the highest honor. Cross Currents with Jim Carney.
In time, the Iranian Revolution of 1978-79 may be seen as one of the more profound events of the 20th century. Think of it, a major Middle Eastern country, an ally of the West, in fact a vehicle for Western domination of Arab-speaking West Asia for much of this century, supplier of much of our oil and recipient of enormous amounts of Western aid, funding 20 years of development and modernization, suddenly violently rejects it all and becomes a revolutionary, religion-driven, fanatically hostile, almost medieval society, making our erstwhile archenemies, the USSR and Communist China, seem almost warm and cuddly in comparison. The Iranian Islamic Revolution was remarkable in a number of ways. First, it was an absolute rejection of the Western approach to social and economic development, including Western values, attitudes, and institutions. Second, it revealed a ferociously anti-Western feeling among the general population of Iran. And third, it has frightening potential as a model for other countries within the Muslim world, indeed within the developing world. Tonight on Cross Currents, we'll see a film on the Iran of today, 10 years after the revolution. The film was shot by an Australian crew, and they explicitly point out that they worked under the scrutiny of the Iranian government, implying that the film reflects, to some degree, an official point of view. What we know as Iran was previously Persia, with its long and glorious and brutal history. Iran does not consider itself part of the Arab-speaking world, but as a superior culture. The official language is Persian, not Arabic. The predominant religion in Iran is the Shia form of Islam, as distinct from the Sunni, which is predominant elsewhere in the Muslim world. The fundamental difference between them has to do with who succeeded the Prophet Muhammad after his death in 632. The Shiites were initially a persecuted minority. Several of their leaders were assassinated. They developed a worldview focused on the evil of injustice, the imperfection of life on earth, and the heroic place of martyrdom. In the Shiite view, the state exists to serve Allah's divine will. The individual and the state are molded to conform with the divine law, which man cannot change. The leader's primary responsibilities are to preserve the divine law and the culture, and to protect the state from outside influence. The last Shah of Iran ran into trouble because his efforts to modernize and westernize Iran were seen as undercutting the role and authority of the religious leaders and threatening the state as the vessel of God's will. In January 1979, the Shah and his family left Iran. In February, the Ayatollah Khomeini returned from 15 years of exile. What followed for many Iranians was a nightmare, a reign of terror. The revolution ignited an explosion of competing ideas and political alternatives, revolutionary committees, mass executions. From our perspective, it was scary enough. The seizure of the American embassy and the American hostages, the role of our Canadian embassy and Ambassador Ken Taylor, the disastrous American attempt to rescue the hostages, President Carter freezing $11 billion of Iranian assets in the United States, the Shah's death, the beginning of the Iran-Iraq War. But inside Iran, it must have been terrifying. The people in tonight's film have survived 10 years under circumstances that I find hard to imagine. And one last thought as you watched this film tonight. Was it not one of our own, that is the West's heroes, who said just prior to his death, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Now, Paradise of Martyrs.
My prayers go to you all. I hope that, God willing, you will be successful in serving this country that throughout history has been oppressed and now has finally fallen into your own hands. The advisors and specialists who came here from the United States or other Western countries, on the surface their mission was to guide and train you, but in reality they wanted to stop you from thinking, growing and working.
در واقع برای این بود که نگذارند خود شما کار کنید، نگذارند فکر شما به کار بیفتد.
انشالله راه شهیدا رو ادامه بدید اگه ما شهید شدیم.
امید خدا.
خدا انشالله زیارت کربلا هم دیگر میبینید. خدا. اماممون هم که
Imam Khomeini has ordered that everybody goes to the war in the name of Islam, and everyone listens to and obeys the Imam's orders. Whatever God wants will happen. It makes no difference to me. If God wants me to become a martyr, then so much the better. If not, I will return in victory. It makes no difference at all.
I feel happy and fortunate that at least I have a son to give to God. He is going for God, and it is my duty to let him go. Of course, we know that if he goes, there is a 99% chance that he may not come back. When I first saw him at court, I attacked him and started pulling his hair out and hitting him in the head with my shoe. But no matter how much I cursed at him, he just sat there and laughed.
I hope that they will kill him. Maybe it will help other people. My heart will ache until I die, even after he is killed. But other people will be freed from Mustafa.
You are accused of intentional murder by inflicting a wound by a fatal weapon, a knife, to Mr. Hassan Salehi that caused his death. You have stated in your own confession, Mr. Mustafa Ma'sumian, and I quote, I was in a hand-to-hand struggle with Hassan. Since the knife was in his right hand, I held him tightly with my left hand so that he couldn't attack me again. And then I stabbed him several times with the knife that I had in my own hand. And I don't remember the exact number of times. And blood was flowing all over his body. Aren't these your words?
I never said that.
You mean they've written lies?
I'm illiterate. I don't know what they've written. It must be lies. I want to say something, and I've said this to you before, Mr. Judge. And I'm repeating it again, and if you want, I will even swear to you. I did not kill Hassan, and there are witnesses. I was confronted with Hassan from the front. If the coroner has found that the fatal wound was in the front of the body, then I will admit plainly that yes, I killed him. But if he was not stabbed from the front, there is no way that I could have done it.
From the way that the scene has been described by many witnesses and in your own confession, his back was to you, and you took his hand and put your knife across his neck.
I never made such a confession.
How about the witnesses who've testified? Is everybody lying? Witnesses lie, the court lies, the reports lie, you're denying everything. It's very strange.
Why don't you confront your witnesses with me?
There aren't just one or two.
Shouldn't I be confronted with your witnesses in cross-examination?
Could you tell the court why you don't accept these testimonies?
For this reason, that I'm the accused, and since these witnesses didn't testify in my presence, I do not accept their testimony.
I see. Could you then tell us where in the law have you studied that witnesses should testify in the presence of the accused?
I'm illiterate. If I could read the law, I wouldn't be illiterate, would I?
Well, at least you could have asked your lawyer if you should make such demands and whether the court is going to buy it or not.
I've told you as much as I know, and if you have any more questions, please ask my lawyer.
We still have to hear the defense lawyer's statements. I think it's better to postpone the hearings until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and continue at that time. Does everybody agree?
oppressed countries of the world to rebel against the oppressor. We hope that Islam shines its light throughout the world to prepare all nations for the appearance of our Savior. In respect to the arts and theater, our artists have a great responsibility and must work harder to produce shows and films that educate the society in the noble and correct way. They must show to people in their programs how to live honorably, freely and respectfully, and they should stop any program that corrupts the mind of the society. In the last 50 dark years, our dear country was filled with filthy magazines and newspapers, which corrupted our younger generation. Worst of all were movies, radio and television, which poisoned our country with Western influences and moral decay. If it wasn't for God's wish and the struggle of the entire nation for our Islamic movement, I wonder where our country and Islam would be today. With wishes for victory to the soldiers at the front fighting against the enemy. I will say a few words about the movement that our Islamic Republic has initiated throughout the world to the soldiers who are on their way to the front.
My responsibility was to protect my country and as a Muslim to protect Islam, because all the major powers in the world wanted to destroy Islam. It was my duty to follow the command of our leader and to defend Islam, whether I stayed alive or not. I remember the night before I went down to the front. There were all sorts of parties and ceremonies, and it was sort of like a wedding. There was no talk at all of death or injuries or anything like that. It was just like one big party. The soldiers would tell us whoever wants to go down to the front could go, and whoever doesn't want to go can stay. But who was going to say, no, I don't want to go? All the kids were very anxious to go down to the front whenever they heard that a new battle had started.
What advice do you have for Muhammad before he goes to the front?
My words to him are to defend the country and to try not to get injured, because the more soldiers we have at the front, the better off we are. But if he ever finds himself in a real danger, what he should do is to tie a hand grenade to himself and throw himself under a tank. My chief goal by coming here to study is that I want to become as familiar as possible with my Islam and with the Holy Book. With this knowledge, I will go with full arms to the schools to educate hundreds of students and to enlighten and familiarize them with our dear Islam. We are now training ourselves, and in the future, we'll educate the society.
They are here in order to say to you their message to the world. Yes. Allahu Akbar Khomeini Rahbar Bulan. Allahu Akbar Khomeini Rahbar. Allahu Akbar Khomeini Rahbar. Marhaba Amerika. Marhaba Amerika. Marhaba Israel. Marhaba Israel. Marhaba Shoravi. Marhaba Shoravi. Jan Jan Kabi Ruzi. Jan Jan Kabi Ruzi.
Are you willing to take another person's life for Islam?
Yes. If a person wants to hurt Islam, we try to show them with our actions what Islam really is, and tell them that we think what they're doing is a mistake. If they don't accept, we warn them with words. And if they still don't accept, and if we think that by their mistake they want to destroy Islam, as it is written in the Quran, when it gets to the point that their heart is black, meaning that they are beyond hope, that there is no way they will conform, then yes, we will go to war with them because of Islam. Because Islam is in danger. And when Islam is in danger, we are willing to give our own lives. Then why shouldn't we be willing to give the life of a blasphemous person? The life of a heretic should be taken.
شما اینو ببینید بخونید این همه مردم نوشتن این همه مردم نوشتن
2000 تا امضا داره اینجا 2000 نفر بیشتر امضا کردن که همه میدونن که از اندازه مصطفی کشته شده
بعد از اینکه متوفا ضربه میخوره
After Hassan is stabbed, my defendant carries him to the side of the street and then cries to the other people around to take the victim to the hospital. Then he escapes to his uncle's house and asked his uncle to go to the hospital and see if Hassan needs any blood. If so, he would go and give him blood, and that statement is in all the reports. According to Article 33 of the Islamic murder laws concerning commitment of murders, in this case, Mustafa's act was in self-defense. He was defending his own life because he was first attacked with a knife by the victim. I request that the court vote in favor of my client and find him not guilty, and that's all.
The principles of the Islamic Republic on every subject are governed by the Islamic laws, which are based on the Quran. I will summarize the law of retaliation. In a reaction to a crime committed against one person, a similar crime must be committed against that criminal. For example, if Mustafa the butcher killed someone unjustly, he must be killed himself. However, here, the family of the victim, his father, his mother, or his spouse, naturally have certain rights. They have the power to decide whether to forgive him and save him from execution or not to forgive him.
The court will inquire what does the victim's family want. If they want him to be executed, and that is in agreement with the Islamic law, as it is stated in the Quran, a life for a life, an ear for an ear. If someone cuts off someone else's ear, his ear will be cut off. If someone cuts off someone else's foot, his foot will be cut off. And that is called retaliation. The family of the victim has submitted a summary of their complaint to the court and has asked for retaliation in accordance with the Islamic laws. Do you still remain firm on your decision? State your request from this court. My request is to punish my son's murderer by death.
My decree is that Mustafa the butcher must be executed.
لبیک یا سار الله ناصرا ینصرنی لبیک یا سار الله میرویم به راه پاک رهبر روح الله امام شریف
By going to the front, you have three choices. You either die or come back with injuries or come back healthy. Those who return healthy don't stay home. They go back to the front. What did you feel after your son's injury?
What other feeling can one have but to be thankful when you're willing to sacrifice someone for God and then they come back alive? All you can do is to be thankful.
I'm glad that he is alive, because now I have a son who can do work for his community and for the religion and for people, and he wouldn't be a useful son if he was dead. You have seen what has happened to your brother Ali. Are you concerned at all about yourself?
It is not in everyone's destiny to go to the front, and it is not in everyone's destiny to be injured if they do go to the front. What has happened to my brother is a blessing. Now, if I can't be of service here, then my place is at the front, and I have to accept becoming injured or even becoming a martyr.
Aren't you afraid?
It's an honor to be martyred. It's an honor that everyone moves towards. People don't run away from it in fear.
Now that you've had your son Ali injured at the front, will you allow your other son Ahmad to go to the front as well and possibly become injured or martyred?
Yes, if our leader tells us not only my children but the entire family will sacrifice their lives for Islam. In order to preserve Islam, the lives of my children are worthless. My entire family is worthless. I am willing for my entire family to be destroyed, but for Islam to be victorious. If people in the West can't understand this, it's because they lack in knowledge and they lack in understanding. They don't know any better.
أشهد أن أشرف الأنبياء محمد رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Total weight, 5.8 pounds. This is the main type of the landmine. It works either by pulling it or pushing on it. Most of the times, it works both ways. Whether you pull or push on it, the device will explode. Needed strength to operate the device. If you pull it, about 3 to 10 pounds. And to push it, 20 to 30 pounds. And write down that the make is by the great Satan. That's America.
In the West, it is said that the boy soldiers, the Basij, are used to walk in the minefields to clear the way. What is your opinion of this? Is it true?
No, only if it is necessary they will go. But preserving your life is also very important. Boys don't just walk around the minefields for no reason at all. Sometimes it is necessary to do that, and it shows the humility of the Basij, who are willing to sacrifice their lives and go and make the mines explode in order to make the victory possible.
God has blessed you with His mercy today. You're going to work hard and give your time, but you'll be rewarded in heaven. So take your work seriously. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Pay attention because I won't repeat. Be quiet, don't smile, and sit down. The Iraqi forces are taking this route to our territory and want to capture our ground. We have been informed that they are coming by foot. So what do you think we should do? We should prepare for an ambush attack. Brothers will divide into 3 groups. No, 4.
God has given us his assurance that martyrdom is a blessing and it is the highest degree of human achievement. Although it's God's promise that if we die as martyrs we'll go to heaven, that's not the reason why we're here. We're here because God has commanded us to be here.
Today, I'm going to the health center to see what type of arrangements they've made for me.
We'll just rely on God, whatever the destiny.
Yes, let's see what happens.
Are you going for your nose or your eyes?
My nose. They can't fix my eyes anymore. For my nose, they will remove the molding and replace it with a bone and then open my nasal passage.
Your eyes can't be cured?
No, the best they can do is glass eyes. At the moment when people are born, they're all the same and they're all equal. And the difference comes in how they're raised and where they're raised. People in the West, all they care about is what kind of clothes or makeup to wear and whether they have girlfriends or not. When I was in Germany, I heard the doctors talking about how somebody committed suicide. And beside him, he had written on a sign that I'm committing suicide because the soccer team that I support has lost a game. They see life through these eyes, and this is how we see life. All people are born alike, but how you're raised is what makes the difference. Islam is the religion of truth and justice. A person who says I'm a Muslim must be willing to sacrifice everything and do whatever God wants him to do. Could you explain why your belief in Islam is so strong?
Because it is nothing but the truth and the only way to happiness.
Which one's the patient?
شما کدومتون ناراحت هستید؟ هر دوتون بفرمایید.
To put the eyebrow back where it came from would be easy, a relatively minor operation. To make him a proper nose would be very difficult. To improve his breathing would be difficult, but not a great deal of problem to himself, and we could do all of those things if he wished.
So what do you think first? To give him a good
the airway.
Airway, yeah.
We'd have to work out just what he thinks about his appearance and ask him, does he get the impression that people are worried by his appearance? Because to do anything to improve it would be relatively major surgery, which may not be indicated in somebody who can't see themselves.
Do you feel that what has happened to your son is the work of God?
Well, if it isn't the work of God, then whose work is it? If God didn't wish it, the bomb could have exploded a few inches away and nothing could have happened to him.
Does the father know what we're contemplating? And does he understand that we can do operations to make this boy more comfortable and to help his breathing and to help his lip closing?
These doctors are going to operate on your son so that he can shut his mouth and enable him to breathe better and make his eyes look better.
You mean they can't cure him?
There is no place in the world where they can totally make him normal again.
There is nothing anywhere in the world that will do anything like
I don't know, doctor. I'm illiterate and really don't know anything. But I have been told that there are doctors in the West who can give his vision back. Now you're telling me they can't. Why?
That's not true. These doctors would know.
Is there anything I can give? If you want me to donate an eye or give some skin, I will do anything to help him.
He says, I'm ready if it's possible. I myself can give him eye and other tissues that he needs.
But he has enough spare tissue in other parts of the body. We'll need nothing from the father.
Yeah. We cannot use the father's eye, unfortunately.
Is it a big responsibility for you to have Mustafa's life in your hands?
Yes, it is a responsibility. But since he is my son's murderer, he must be executed. I won't agree to forgive him no matter what. Not even one drop of his blood should remain.
What we are trying to do, and our purpose here, God willing, is to follow the Islamic laws and take steps in the direction of Islam and the Quran. We don't have any bad or hostile feelings towards the defendant. Although if he is proven guilty, it is our Islamic duty to feel hatred for those who do wrong. Before we reach the end of this trial and decide the fate of the accused, I would like to let everybody present in this court know that this court is completely objective and unbiased. We are not the enemy of the defendant or favor the prosecution's side. Our decision was execution and retaliation. which also was the wish of the victim's family. All of the documents and records prove him to be guilty. I asked that he should be hung in the same area where he killed Hassan, right in front of the store. When they asked who would execute him, I wanted them to let me hang him personally, but they said, no, we can't let you do it. If one of his close relatives can execute him, fine. If not, we have one of our own special executioners. There will be a wooden structure for execution and a rope. They will take the accused to an elevated stand, put the rope around his neck, and then pull the stand from underneath him. Then for 10, 15, or 20 minutes, he will be hanging until all signs of life disappear. We consider the society as a garden. If we want to allow the flowers to grow, we must remove the weeds and the thorns. The existence and strength of the weeds will prevent the growth of the flowers. In the society, execution of individuals like Mustafa the butcher, who disobey the law, will be healthy to the society as a whole, and even makes us feel very happy about doing it.
دروغه ها فهمیدی دروغ شما بگو دروغ این دروغ میگه
رفیقان دوستان یاران من از دار فنا
Dear friends and family, I no longer am with you. I entered the world crying, and now I am gone. I leave you amongst your tears.
اگر کشتی حسن اینک چه میگویی
Ask my heartless murderer what answer he has for his conscience, to take another's life in fear. Let the morning breeze carry the news of my death across. To my old mother I say, care for my children, since I have left you all, my dears. To remember me by, I leave 2 children behind. Embrace them with love, and once they ask of my whereabouts, tell them I'm gone. Gone on a long journey without any sign.
تعالى نعمة ربنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نعمة رسول ونمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب أولاده الأئمة حتى شرف نعم الأئمة وأنما جاء به محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونكين في القبر حق والبعث حق والنشور حق والميزان حق والصمود حق والتزاوج حق والجنة حق والنار حق والنصات وسيئة الله المسجدنا كامل
ننه ای مجید جوون مادر ای مجید خمشم ننه ای گل نچیدم مادر ای امید زندگی ننه ننه جونه ای جوون نازنین ننه ای شجاع پسر مادر ای خورم ای خورم ای خورم بگید نه مادر مادر میگن بگید مادر بگید نه مادر میگن عزیزم مادر
All the martyrs who died at the war leave behind them the thought to continue the struggle for Islam. My only wish, if I become a martyr, is for my family to continue the way of Islam and martyrdom.
We have to build the Islamic family and deliver good children to the society. And our children have to be raised in the Islamic manner so that in future, God willing, they will continue our work.
As we said at the outset, it would be wrong to leave the impression that the attitudes expressed in the film tonight are endorsed by all Iranians or even by the entire Shiite population. For all its apparent strength, the current regime is very dependent on one person, Ayatollah Khomeini, who is 86 years old. And while there is much of Iranian tradition within the revolutionary movement, there is also much that is dissonant. In the words of one writer, citing age-old Iranian traditions of creativity, intellectual curiosity, and tolerance of human diversity, a nation's brutal and intolerant present has declared war on its own past. From Iran to Japan is perhaps as radical a shift as one could imagine. But next week on Cross Currents, we look behind the conventional image of modern Japan. This is a country that has gone from a medieval pre-industrial state to becoming the very symbol of technological and economic progress in little more than 100 years. But there has been a cost, a price paid in social and human terms. Japan behind the mask. Here's a preview.
Well hidden behind the mask is this place, Sanya. Sanya is a district of Tokyo that has not appeared on maps of the city since 1966. It's an embarrassment. Sanya is a place of flophouses, controlled by the Yakuza, Japan's mafia, and inhabited by unemployed and destitute men who crowd onto the streets in the early morning to fight for a day's work. These desperate men are rushing the office of a subcontractor, hoping to get a day's wage from which gangsters take their cut. Several attempts to organize unions have ended in bloodshed. In 1985, more than 200 people died on Sanya's streets. That such a desperate jobs market should exist at all in Japan raises far-reaching questions about the Japanese economy.
Japan behind the mask, next week on Cross Currents. If you have a particular interest in any of the subjects in this series, we've prepared a set of viewer's guides with suggestions for further reading. These guides are available at a small cost from the Knowledge Bookstore. For Cross Currents, I'm Jim Carney. Good night.
Viewer's guides for each program in the Cross Currents series are available at a cost of $2 each, or $15 for the full set of 10. You can obtain your guides by writing to The Knowledge Bookstore, Post Office Box 94,000, Richmond, BC, V6Y2A2. If you prefer, you can phone the bookstore at one of these numbers, 660-2190, or toll-free, 1-800-663-9711. And you can charge the order to your Visa or MasterCard. Once again, the cost of these informative guides is $2 each, or $15 for the set of 10. Order yours now.
Good television on the Knowledge Network is made possible by grants from the province of British Columbia.